All right, so now let's look at the Scarlet letter specifically, and let's analyze some student drafted thesis statements and how they could be stronger, and look at the red-green idea with the Scarlet letter. So here is a student thesis statement. Note, first off, the student has correctly noted that there is a title by underlining it. That is an expectation you're going to have. And let's go on with the thesis. In the Scarlet letter, the clergyman, Arthur Dimmesdale, experiences private passion that conflicts with his responsibilities as a priest. This transforms who he is as a person and shows the importance of being true to yourself. I'm going to have you pause the video and first consider, or maybe talk to a partner, what do you think of that thesis statement? Does it have red and green? And does it also go deeper? Because one of the things that you should always ask is, can you make it deeper, more specific, more clear, more vibrant, more unique? So turn and talk or reflect by yourself. Well, you should know that for the most part, I'm always going to think you can do a little bit better. And so if I were going to revise this, I would take a look at what that journey was like for him. He's going through this private passion that conflicts with the responsibilities. How did that journey go for him? And I'm going to kind of review that through the book. And then I'm going to look at that core part, the green part, being true to yourself. And I'm going to think to myself, that's true. However, is it possible that I could make that more academically worded? So if I look at his journey, I'm going to notice how Dimmesdale was miserable and how horrible it was, because I know that's one of Hawthorne's points. So I'm going to revise my thesis and add that in. Now, I might revise my thesis after I've written my whole paper, or I might revise it before I start going. It kind of depends on the writing process, and there's many different ways to do it. So if the student version was this, in the Scarlet letter, the clergyman, Arthur Dimmesdale, experiences private passion that conflicts with his responsibilities as a priest. This transforms who he is as a person and shows the importance of being true to yourself. My revision is just going to amp that a little bit. In the Scarlet letter, Arthur Dimmesdale's hypocrisy as a priest yields unabated self-torture. Nathaniel Hawthorne uses the character of Arthur Dimmesdale to raise questions about what it means to be true to a central core. I'm also going to get rid of that. So if I take a look there, it simply goes into the red and the green, and it looked at the wording a little bit differently. This would be the red and the green. The red is what's going on in the plot. What's the storyline? All of that. And the green is, so what? What? Why would I want to read the Scarlet letter? Because it is an excellent question about what it means to be true to a central core. I'd argue Hester herself is true to a central core, and here she is as a potential thesis. With the shame and embarrassment Hester Prynne suffered throughout the Scarlet letter, she was able to overcome and learn from the adversity of her life and let her talents and soft heart take power over her Scarlet letter that lay upon her bosom. So I'm going to read this, and I understand shame and embarrassment, so I'm probably going to do some pre-writing and really look at the ways that she had shame, really look at the ways that she had embarrassment, and gather some of my information. I'm going to look at this idea if she was able to overcome and learn from the adversity of her life and let her talents take shape. But mostly, I'm going to have to go with a so what? This right now talks about Hester Prynne, but it certainly doesn't get to Moau, and Moau is really important. So let's see what the revision does with that. Looking at the bottom one here, embarrassment and isolation prod the Scarlet letter's Hester Prynne to find her own path in society. But there is no happy ending. Nathaniel Hawthorne's development of Prynne reveals courage and calmness may equal, but may not overcome, the burdens of society shame. This is a better thesis because in the end, I'm not just explaining what Hester did, but I'm also pronouncing judgment. I think in the end, it might not have been enough for a happy life. That some shames, even if you weather them, is not enough to, you can't completely overcome them. That is an argument of judgment, and that adds a little bit more depth to your paper. So if you're looking at it, the revision does have the red and green. We have the plot line, and then we have the so what. All right. Let us look at one more example. We've done Chillingworth, we've done Dimmesdale. No, actually, we did Dimmesdale and we did Hester. Now we're on a Chillingworth. Here's a student draft. Let's read it, and then you think if you like it. In the Scarlet Letter, one of the main characters, Roger Chillingworth, desires for a power over people. He desires to cause them pain as part of his revenge. Chillingworth's thirst for power over Prynne and Dimmesdale shows how power, or the quest for it, corrupts people. You know what? Moao is there. I like it because if I go here, vroom, 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 that is Moao. And I'm going to think about that though because it talks about him corrupting people. And if he himself has been corrupted, in which case I better examine Chillingworth's life. I better explain how maybe he wasn't all that bad to begin with. So I'm going to take this as a working thesis. A working thesis means I would probably take this one exactly as it is and then write my paper. But I would definitely go back and revise it. And indeed, that is what happened. We're going to skip that one. All right. Oh no, how horrible. These are not marked as titles. And that is heinous. So if I take a look at this one down here, in Scarlet Letter, there is initial ambiguity on the true nature of Roger Chillingworth. But as his plans for revenge continue, Hawthorne's descriptions of Chillingworth's appearances clarify his cold and malicious nature. Nathaniel Hawthorne uses physical description to reveal how the thirst for revenge poisons the perpetrator. All right, I'm actually going to have you pause for a second, and before I tell you why the second one is so much better than the first one, I want you to see if you can come up with at least 2 reasons why the second revised thesis is better than the first one. So hit pause and then hit play. All right, welcome back. I would say the 2 reasons that this one's better is because it does go through the beginning of the story right here, which is pretty important. But the most important reason is look at how specific we're doing the author's tools. Nathaniel Hawthorne uses physical description. I like that because when I have that really narrow tool to look at, it's just a little bit more doable to do the paper. I don't have to think about the whole book. I'm narrowing it down. So those are good reasons to revise that thesis. It has red and it has green. So here's the deal. Do not lose hope. You need to get a thesis, you need to get the pre-writing, and there's some videos that will help you with that. And then you need to just make sure you have red and green. A lot of times you just have to start writing, and then your thesis clarifies itself. So go forward and produce excellent work, and take care.